Hello everyone and welcome to round 10 of the F2 season. This week the league takes on the newly created Miami International Autodrome, a 5.4 kilometer circuit that features 19 corners, all of which have been specifically designed to create mistakes from the drivers and to promote good racing. Interesting that because in real life this has not provided good racing whatsoever. In game, it's provided excellent racing, and hoping that Miami, at least for the F2 cars, definitely provides that as well. We're very much into the business end of the season now, round 10 of 15, very much getting serious here, as 15 seconds to go now until we start the lap. I was going to point out something, I completely forgot what it was. Hot spot on the call here for F2, as you would expect. Only a little while to go now. We're expecting lap times around the mid 138s, low 139s, I'd say. I mean, I sucked, so we'll have to find out. Scornsy on a timed lap now. Let's see what he's got as he's now going through turn 19, down the pit straight now, heading towards turn 1 from that 6th gear down to about 2nd. Very crucial that you get your apex correctly then. And then this string of corners here really have to feather the throttle on and off, because it can create mistakes. It really can. Now going through turns 4, 5, and 6. Tricky section of corners here, very reminiscent to Silverstone, actually. Just kind of flip-flopped. And then this very long left-hander of 6 and 7. Now this corner is tricky because, as you can see there, you can go quite wide. And again, it's a real corner of testing your throttle ability then, and keeping patient as well. Now going through turn 9 and into the DRS section of turn 10 and beyond. This isn't the best opportunity for overtaking on the track, but it is one for sure. Heading into turn 11, and then the rest of what I like to call the horseshoe here. Very simple, just once again riding the throttle through the long right-hander, and then back up through into this little chicane here of turns 14 and 15. Quite annoying chicane, if I say so myself. Out of turn 16, down this back straight now. In an F2 car, you would expect to see speeds upwards of about 300 kilometers an hour, maybe more. I know I eclipsed 300 when I was doing my test laps to do the practice laps just to see what the circuit's like. So there you go, about 306, 308, about 310 we'll call it, is what he's eclipsed then. Here is Scornsy as he now exits turn 17, down through 18, and then one more time inside, and it is Jackson Altman on pole, 137.296, Scornsy second. Tell you what, that was a very good effort then from Scornsy, but it's Jackson Altman on pole by less than 5/100ths of a second. Ryan Rod's third, less than 9/100ths of a second. A-Dub fourth, less than a 10th behind the leader. Dirty Boy Jackson fifth, Lancey sixth. Elma Jacko back there in 7th, Josh Senior 8th, Cake Thomas 9th, 10th Slayer Eyes, 11th Villeneuve, 12th Valentine, 13th Team B7, 14th Killer XL, and everyone behind him, including himself and Shariah Coleslaw, was not able to string together a timed lap attempt. So, very interesting starting grid here. Crucially, Elma Jacko down in 7th. He's got a lot of work to do, and not a lot of time to do it either. Let's see what this Grand Prix will hold for us here. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like quite the cloudy day then here in Miami. Very hazy at the very least. Interesting to see if we get a sunny day or rain. And the answer is... it's bright and sunny. That's very nice. So as I said before, this track has been great at kind of making up some great racing, especially in-game, in real life. It's not really had the ability to do that. I mean, there was some nice moments for sure, but nothing really too spectacular. So, before we get into our race here in 30 seconds time, tire lives for today, softs will go about 7 to 10, and mediums from about 9 to 14. So, expect to maybe perhaps start on the mediums, go to lap 9, and then pit for the rest of the way on softs. I'm not quite sure. It might be a tale of a couple different strategies like we saw at Bahrain. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. We've got 7 seconds to go, then 5, and then winding down the clock. Before we get underway here for round 10 of the F2 season here at the Miami International Autodrome, a race I've been very heavily anticipating here. The lights are turning on. We have 4, and then 5. And they are off. Now, who gets the better start here? It's Jackson Altman versus Scornsy off the line, and it looks as if they've gotten away quite evenly. Scornsy does have the bottom line there, so he's going to have the preferred line going in the corner. Oh, that's a big crash then. Someone has gone off towards the back, and it looks like A-Dub has fallen way off the pace, as well as Slayer Eyes then, and I'm not quite sure who has caused that incident, but as you can see, we have already had another Turn 1 incident, like we had very much so, like at Bahrain. Cake Thomas has just managed to get around Lancey then, that being for the 6th spot. Majako's found his way up to 5th, Dirty Boy Jackson up to 4th. Ryan Rod, Scornsy, and Altman have all stayed the same, and crucially that for Jackson Altman, who, after being taken out in the first corner last week inadvertently by Shariah Coleslaw, now has the lead of the Grand Prix over the season, I believe it was 2 champion, that of Scornsy. And look at the gap they've already put back to GSR Ryan Rods. Here's El Majako and Dirty Boy Jackson side by side, heading into the horseshoe. Majako's way overshot his braking zone then and collides with GSR Ryan Rods. And that was, I have to say, the very rare, genuine mistake by that of El Majako, who has completely missed his braking zone then and has plowed right into the side of Ryan Rods. Hopefully Ryan Rods hasn't accumulated any wing damage, which it doesn't seem like he has, although that could have ended much worse than it actually did. And I tell you what, El Majako has accidentally taken out his temporary teammate then. Meanwhile, up at the top, Scornsy still about within 0.4 of a second on Jackson Altman. That one getting quite close. As you can see, Scornsy looking for the position here around the dams in front. Cake Thomas and Josh Senior battling it out for the 6th position. Josh Senior has the outside. Little bit of a slip then from Josh Senior, and he's been overtaken by El Majako as well, as Jackson Altman setting the fastest lap of the race so far. We look at the positions lost and gain. A-Dub is down 10. Everyone else up either 3 or 1. Slayer Eyes down 5. Majako and Cake Thomas battling it out then temporarily. Cake Thomas was able to hold off the position. He will keep that 6th spot for now. Looks like A-Dub has gotten around Team B7 there towards the back. So it looks like at this moment in time, the field still, I would say, very kept close here. There's not really been anybody falling out of pace, except for that of GSR Ryan Rods, who I don't know if the incident with Jacko had anything to do with that, but he has fallen off the pace about 0.2 of a second now, 2 seconds now. Not 0.2, 2 seconds, 2 whole seconds. Now here's Cake Thomas. He's looking for it on Lancey here in the HWA in front of him. Going to be looking perhaps down to that inside as they enter the horseshoe, and he's not going to have it. Granted, there's no DRS this time by. Really quick, let's look at the tire strategies. 4 drivers starting on the softs, that being Jackson Altman, that being Majako, that being Josh Senior, and as well as Shariah Coleslaw. Everyone else has chosen the mediums. So that is a very interesting strategy to take. I guess maybe... Now, whenever you have that choice in F2, it would usually be preferred, at least from my perspective, that you would take the slower compound tire first. Actually, well, interesting you say that. Race pace, sure. Take the slowest compound tire first, but if you're at a track where there might be an early safety car, you absolutely take that soft tire first. So, it really depends. Now, those drivers that started on the softs will be off to an advantage if the safety car was to come out. If not, they will be at the disadvantage, and crucially the other way around, obviously, if the opposite happens. It looks like Valentine has just gotten around Killer XL. Temporarily, they were battling. Side by side in the corner is Cake Thomas and El Majako, 2 drivers battling it out for the Drivers' Championship last season. And Cake Thomas now has had to defend Jacko twice in those first couple of corners, and he's done just that. Now, DRS falling off the back of Jackson Altman. Crucially, though, however, Jackson Altman is, I'd say, at least for the time being, not on the preferred strategy. So Cake Thomas is going to have DRS to the back of Lancey here. El Majako's actually fallen out quite far. Now, I forgot to mention, did he pick up any wing damage for the collision with Ryan Rods? It doesn't seem like he did. He absolutely thwacked the side of his temporary teammate then. Somehow he's gotten away with it, but here's Josh Senior. He's going to be looking for the move here around the Prima driver. Does he have anything going into the horseshoe? He's still around that outside. It looks like Killer XL has just overtaken Valentine going into the corner. It's side by side between these two. Valentine still has that inside line, which converts then to the outside. And Killer XL still there. Beautiful wheel-to-wheel racing going through the horseshoe. I didn't necessarily expect to see that, but this is absolutely brilliant, these two. Big contact being made then, as somehow Valentine's been able to hold on to the car despite the ongoing pressure then from Killer XL. And I believe Valentine is going to have DRS here as well. He will in about 100 meters time. But there's lots of contact being made there. Thankfully, no wing damage from the either of them. But that could have ended quite poorly. as they make their way out of turn 17 and now towards the pit straight out of turn 19. Looks like Shariah Coleslaw and Villeneuve battling it out then. That's going out of turn 17, and it looks like perhaps as Shariah got that inside line, well, yes, he does. He's gotten around Villeneuve then, and he's promoted himself up to 11th. I tell you what, Shariah Coleslaw has not had himself an ideal 2 rounds here so far. He obviously finished last week after the penalty he accumulated from the contact with Jackson Altman, and he's fallen off. He started at the back. Oh, and it looks like has Villeneuve gone off? Yes, he has, and that is going through turn 3 out of that corner, and he'll have to kind of get it going here quickly as to not get disqualified. However, as we were saying, Shariah Coleslaw did start dead last at the turn at the beginning of this Grand Prix, and so far he is up a few positions, thankfully for him, but he's got a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, up the grid we go. Lancey still, but he's actually closing in on Dirty Boy Jackson here, so we've got about a 3-car battle for that 4th spot. Mind you, Scornsy, I would say closing into Jackson Altman here, but that's not necessarily true, as Ryan Rod's now 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's going through that chicane of 14 and 15. Not what he needed at all. So Dirty Boy Jackson in quite the hole here, as that gap behind to GSR Ryan Rods has opened up to over 2.5 seconds, and he's got Lancey in hot pursuit now, plus the DRS. Cake Thomas does not have it anymore. He was within a second not long ago, but has fallen out of which since then. It's time from the HWA driver, but suddenly what it was, Lancey defending against Cake Thomas, is suddenly Lancey attacking Dirty Boy Jackson. DRS open once again as they go down the pit straight. Remember, the soft tires, 7 to 10 laps, that is the window. So the 4 drivers that did start on said soft tires, we will be looking to see them pit in a few laps' time, perhaps. Still hunting him down is Lancey. He's not been able to close the gap anymore, even with having DRS. And mind you, this is the important one here. Scornsy now almost outside of 2 seconds on Jackson Altman ahead. Oh, and we have had a crash towards the back. It looks like Villeneuve has gone off in the Carlin. That's not good for him. But it looks like Jackson Altman, at least through the first sector, is really pulling Scornsy then. As Scornsy, I think he might be having him on straight line speed. And then it's about even. But somewhere, and I believe it is through that first sector, Jackson Altman is really pulling out the pace then on Scornsy. Of course, the soft tires will be better, but only for now. Here's Lancey. He's getting towards the back then of Dirty Boy Jackson. It looks like A-Dub he's going to look for around the right-hand side of Shariah Coleslaw here, heading towards the horseshoe. Does he have it? He does, but just for now. Shariah Coleslaw still down to the inside. And now, once again, wheel-to-wheel through the horseshoe. A-Dub has really clobbered the inside of the wall then. Has he picked up wing damage? I believe, well, somehow he hasn't. He certainly hit it a fair little knock then, but he has not picked up damage, and he's still right there on the gearbox of Shariah Coleslaw. Is he going to be able to find anything this time by? He's still within 0.4 of a second. Meanwhile, Elma Jacko, he's within half a second on Cake Thomas for the 6th position. These two were battling it out not too long ago, and once again, Scornsy has now taken off about 0.4 of a second off that time up to Jackson Altman. Perhaps starting to close a little bit, but nothing enough to, I'd say, concern. Oh, and suddenly Shariah, we've just gone along with him. Suddenly he has spun around then, and I believe, has he hit probably the curb then? Oh, and he's going to kind of make his way over to the pit lane here and attach new front wing. Oh, I tell you what, that. Suddenly we went along with Shariah and he was sideways and into the wall, and that's not what you wanted to see. However, I believe he probably will be able to go on the medium tires from here on out, so maybe it's worked, maybe it hasn't, and he's only going to lose a handful of positions here. There's Elma Jacko. He's got DRS on Cake Thomas ahead of him. Mind you, Cake Thomas has DRS on Lancey ahead. So we'll have to see who is able to keep it clean going through this section of track. Into the horseshoe they go now. Can Elma Jacko find any pace on the high tech in front of him? It doesn't quite appear that he's been able to so far. He's doing his best. I tell you what, Jacko, after the mistake he had earlier on, is really starting to bounce back now, which is something you really enjoy seeing. And look at him, yeah, he's right to the gearbox and a Cake Thomas, and he's got this DRS train to Lancey ahead, which, like it or not, that's kind of how it is. And let's see if Elma Jacko's going to be able to overtake him here. Crucially, will Cake Thomas be able to overtake Lancey? He's been quite close to this HWA in front of him for quite a while now. Lancey's going to do the smart thing and defend the high line Oh, and Cake Thomas actually going right into the back of him then. And that's not going well at all there, as Lancey and Cake Thomas then spinning the car around, and El Majaco's going to go around the outside of Cake Thomas. So it looks as if Cake Thomas did go into the back then of the HWA of Lancey, and then I believe maybe accidentally wanted to get out of the way in order to see the position once more, and I think he caught some oversteer, and that's allowed Jacko to get by as well. So I think if you're from Lancey's point of view, you'd call that some instant karma then, perhaps. But either way, Cake Thomas, despite that little hiccup there he's just had, he has been able to keep himself in this battle for position, so look out for him still. Meanwhile, it looks like Killer XL's trying to make the moves on Valentine here. Valentine has managed to go up 3 positions since the start. Killer XL up 4. DRS here for Killer XL. Can he perhaps find the move here? Looking around the right. I believe he was kind of looking for the inside there. As Scornsy now picks up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. It looks like, oh, A-Dub is in this as well, and A-Dub down to the inside. Is he going to do both of them here? And Jesus, I failed to recognize that A-Dub was in this battle as well. And now A-Dub has done in both Valentine and Killer XL, and that promotes him up to 9th. Very nicely done then from A-Dub, who really is trying to bounce back after the very not ideal start to the Grand Prix that he's had. Up the grid once more, El Majaco. He's within 5/10 then on the HWA of Lancey. Now, it looks like Killer XL down to the inside on Valentine here. Will he be able to make the move happen? Perhaps a little bit of contact there going into 17. It was hard to tell. Valentine's still there on the outside. Does he have anything for him? No, he doesn't. But crucially, El Majaco on his way into the pits. Oh, Valentine's just had a big slip then, and somehow he was able to keep it clean. I accidentally tagged onto the wrong driver then. We saw Valentine, great car control then from the Virtuosi driver as he was able to hold on to it. El Majaco, however, has dropped down to P12, perhaps more. We'll have to wait and see, but he is down to 12th. And this is kind of that disadvantage that I was talking about with starting on the soft tires. As Scornsy, despite having that 3-second penalty, Ryan Rods has one behind him, and now he is within almost a second of Jackson Altman ahead of him. Meanwhile, here's Cake Thomas. DRS here on Lancey. Does he have anything going into the horseshoe? No, he doesn't. Now that Jacko is out of this fight, Cake Thomas, I believe, can really start to make somewhat of a move here on Lancey, as it's just a one-on-one battle then, as now they head through the chicane of turns 14 and 15. Tell you what, I've definitely been considering putting this track on next season's schedule. I gotta say, the racing hasn't been too bad so far. I guess we'll have to compare them head-to-head when we head back to COTA later in the season for, I believe, the penultimate round of the season, which COTA last season was very, very nice. So we'll have to see if Miami can hold the candle to COTA then, as Jackson Altman on his way in. Now, how many positions is he going to lose under this pit? It'll be interesting to see. Cake Thomas does have DRS on Lancey. He's not been able to make anything happen so far, and yet again, he's not really able to close that gap any. Jackson Altman down to 6th, and he's going to lose a couple more here. It looks like Josh Sr. on his way in as well. So Jackson Altman only leaving the pits now. That has not really been the handiest of pit stops then from Jackson Altman. The release was quite late, which it is easy to kind of mess up in these F2 cars. But still, that, I gotta say, and I hate saying this, I really do, but that has been not a very good stop then for Jackson Altman. He's, well, I believe he's actually taken quite the hit then. It'll be interesting to see, as we are getting into that territory now, where anybody that started on the mediums will have to now pit shortly. Valentine, 3 seconds for multiple warnings. It looks like here, Cake Thomas, will he have a move on Lancey heading towards the horseshoe? He's going to look to the outside. He's going to have him around the outside here, going in towards turn 11. Does he still have it? Well, he's been way off track then. He comes back on track, still down to the inside of the HWA. And yeah, still wheel to wheel. I mean, this is brilliant racing here, going through the horseshoe. And we've seen that a couple times so far here today. I mean, honestly, the track which I really thought was going to see the least amount of action has actually seen quite a great deal. El Majaco, I believe, has just managed to get around Team B7 with the aid of DRS then. That puts him up to 10th. Cake Thomas here, 315 kilometers an hour. He's going to look for it around the right-hand side. Does he have it? Oh, I tell you what, GSR Ryan Rods just picked up 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane, and Cake Thomas did everything he could to try and overtake Lancey then, but he wasn't able to, and Cake Thomas himself now picks up 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. So GSR Ryan Rods and Cake Thomas both pick up 5-second penalties. Lancey inherits the lead of the Grand Prix. Scornsy out behind. He has put on the soft tires naturally, as you would. How many positions is he going to lose here? Valentine gets promoted to third. Killer XL up to second. Crucially, does Scornsy get out of the pits before Jackson Altman finds his way around? Yes, he does, and by some margin as well. And I believe we've had a car gone off, a yellow flag there temporarily. I'm not actually sure what's happened. As Valentine had an off, it may be that way. I'm not sure. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see when Lancey, Valentine, and Killer XL take their stops here. You can't really pull off too much of an overcut and an undercut in these F2 cars, as it looks like Killer XL has picked up some damage on the right-hand end plate of his ART. Scornsy now into the mix. Can he find a move towards Killer XL here? Through the horseshoe they go. Scornsy was able to make up a lot of time onto the back of that ART. I think Lancey might actually get away okay here. He's got about a 12-second gap back to Valentine. That might not be too bad then. He may only lose a handful of positions here, as Scornsy now within DRS on Killer XL. Will he be able to make anything happen heading towards turn 17? Doesn't quite look like he'll be able to. So Lancey coming in. Valentine, we're going to have to assume, will be following suit. And no, he chooses not to. Interesting choice here by Valentine, as Scornsy then getting around Killer XL, albeit Killer XL has now gone into the pits. So, it is Scornsy on Valentine for the lead of the Grand Prix. We'll have to assume that Scornsy will definitely be having it once Valentine comes in. That was a big wiggle then from the Virtuosi. And Scornsy's going to go around the left-hand side. He's going to pick up the lead of the Grand Prix. Valentine's still right there. He's looking for that left rear tire. He's not been able to make any sort of move happen. And now Scornsy, on those fresh softs, I believe, will start to pull away from the Virtuosi driver. Jackson, GSR Ryan Rods, can we look at just the penalties that people have? So Ryan Rods at 8 seconds, Valentine at 3, Scornsy at 3. Look at the gap back to leader, so this will definitely promote Jackson Altman at least to probably second. Yeah, that's not really gone well at all then for Ryan Rods, as he'll be probably falling down all the way back to P7 perhaps, given his circumstance. Valentine's starting to fall off here, and it looks like Dirty Boy Jackson now, he's just picked up 3 seconds and multiple warnings. That's not good at all for him, considering Elma Jacko, he is within about 2.5 seconds of being able to take that position. Interesting battle that is. Ryan Rods, he's looking for it on Valentine here. Can he perhaps find a move down to the inside? Oh, I think he perhaps had a small look at it, and now he'll be able to make the chance as Valentine goes quite wide through turn 17. Big contact then. Valentine was able to keep the spot, but nearly imploded the race then of Ryan Rods, who then sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 5 laps to go here around the football stadium here in Miami. By the way, I think the Miami Dolphins have been off to an okay start so far this season. Oh! And Valentine's gone around! And what ended up being GSR Ryan Rods trying to make a move around that of Valentine ends up... Oh, and this is a big one here. Jackson Altman's fallen off considerably. And Jackson Altman pushing Valentine into traffic now. Jackson Altman has been disqualified from the session, and I believe that with Valentine as well, and Killer XL now collected. Unbelievable. That, I gotta say, not okay whatsoever from Jackson Altman. Drive post lot, 3 seconds, the time penalty then. So after that unbelievable turn of events, it looks as if Scornsy does have the lead of the Grand Prix. Ryan Rod's second, Dirty Boy Jackson third, but with 8 seconds of penalty. El Majaco fourth, so he'll get promoted to the podium here, which I gotta say is a result that he needed in this championship fight. And I tell you what was a very brilliant race so far today has turned quite chaotic very quickly. And that is something that I definitely really did not want to see, as that really shines quite a poor light then on F2, one that doesn't need to happen. But is El Majaco still then under pressure from Lancey here for that fourth spot? Now this is, let's not distract the antics then of Jackson Altman, perhaps Valentine as well, from the good racing that we've had so far today. It looks like A-Dub, he's within position to make a move on Josh Sr. Now Cake Thomas in this as well. Cake Thomas has the 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane that he accumulated on his pit stop naturally. But here's Lancey. Will he have DRS here on El Majaco? It certainly looks like he may have an overtake to be made as they head towards the horseshoe, way down to the inside of the circuit. And yeah, I think Lancey's going to get that position and more. Nicely done then from Lancey, but Jacko's still on that right-hand side of the circuit, and Lancey's actually going to pull away then from Jacko. Very nice. Little bit of a bump then from the Prima driver, as El Majaco really needs any extra points that he can get in this battle for the championship with Dirty Boy Jackson. Dirty Boy, I believe he's going to be falling a solid couple of positions here, which will really help El Majaco. El Majaco DRS with him. Looks like Scornsy and Ryan Rod starting the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix now. El Majaco down to the inside on Lancey then. Does he have that position cleanly? Oh, he's gone really quite deep into the braking zone then. Lancey almost had it back down the inside, but Jacko was able to cover off the move. Nicely done then from El Majaco to make the overtake. I would say make it stick, but only just. And I tell you what, is it temporary, or is El Majaco going to be able to keep him behind? So Lancey will yet again have DRS on the back of El Majaco, this coming out of turn number 9. Will he be able to keep it steady here? Oh, I tell you what, he's almost exceeded the track then. Carrying a lot of speed then out of that 7th corner. Let's see if he's able to make a move back on Jacko. This is where he had it the first time heading into the horseshoe. Let's see if he can do it again. Around the outside now goes Lancey with the DRS. Oh, and I tell you what, I thought he had it, but the braking zone came up much faster than he anticipated, and Jacko was able to hold that inside line and keep the position away from Lancey only just, as they will be heading back into the DRS once they get out of the chicane and out of turn 16. So for the time being, El Majaco has the advantage, but for how long will he have it? Mind you, Cake Thomas is in this battle. Now, he's in no danger of losing position to A-Dub, who's 8 seconds behind there in 7th place. So Cake Thomas, I don't want to say is in this battle necessarily, but he is there, and he could play a factor. Starting the final lap of the Grand Prix now is Scornsy. Down to the inside is Lancey on El Majaco. Does he have anything to be made? Contact then, unfortunately, is what was made. El Majaco does have the spot. Cake Thomas finds his way around the right-hand side. And Lancey now in a little bit of a hole here as he has to find a way around Cake Thomas and Elma Jacko. He's going to look down to the inside, going in towards turn 1, but he's not going to have anything to do there. Looks like Team B7 might have a good move on Slayerized here momentarily. Down DRS they go. 0.6 of a second. Will that be enough to find the move? I'm not actually sure it will be. And Cake Thomas, he's within 0.4. I'm not entirely sure will be beneficial to him. Killer XL 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Although I don't think it will be hindering him any. Scornsy and Ryan Rods heading through the horseshoe now. Ryan Rods has not been able to strike back at Scornsy here. Around the outside now goes Cake Thomas on Elma Jacko heading to the horseshoe. This is interesting here because all this is doing for Elma Jacko is potentially losing points, considering Dirty Boy Jackson's got 8 seconds of penalty and will be dropping down at least to P6. So any points that Majacko could perhaps have here are very crucial to him. Going down through turn 17 now is that of Scornsy, who Scornsy, if you saw it last week, in Bahrain, had a really good attempt at the win, and unfortunately made the mistake off the final corner, but no mistakes today then from Scornsy. He will come around turn 19 and win the Miami Grand Prix in only his second race this season. Ryan Rod's third. It looks like Elma Jacko and Cake Thomas were battling that. Oh, and that's a big slide then from Cake Thomas, and Elma Jacko now will be coming across the line and taking a P3, and Dirty Boy Jackson penalties then. Cake Thomas 5 seconds of penalty. Lancey quite slow now coming towards the line. A-Dub's going to find his way through, so Dirty Boy Jackson won't be losing many positions at all. A-Dub 6th, Lancey 7th, Josh Sr. 8th. Slayerized going down the straight now, and he's got this battle here with Team B7, although Team B7 doesn't seem to have DRS. So it looks like unless Slayerized makes a mistake, Team B7 will finish P10. Killer XL 5 seconds for corner cutting. That puts him 11 seconds. But what a great race it was from Scornsy, fully striking back after last week's mishap in Bahrain. He will take the win here in Miami, and in somewhat commanding fashion as well. So after it's all said and done here in Miami for the inaugural F2 Grand Prix here down south, Scornsy has the win. GSR Ryan Rod second, Majacko third, also claiming driver of the day. Fourth is Dirty Boy Jackson. Fifth, Cake Thomas. Sixth is A-Dub. Seventh is Lancey. Eighth, Josh Sr. Ninth, Slayerized. 10th, beat Team B7. 11th, Villeneuve. 12th, Killer XL. 13th, Shariah Coleslaw. 14th, Jackson Valentine 94. And then Jackson Altman as well. Both of them disqualified for whatever the hell happened then earlier on. And next week, we head to Austria for the next reverse points grid Grand Prix of the season, the second installment of that, and it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Well, Hotspot, thank you for joining us here in F2, and we will see you next week when we head to Spielberg for round number 11 of the Formula 2 season. So long, everyone.